right. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to our channel for Lit Teachers. So happy to have you. We're doing a special video today, myself and Jackson.
Good evening. Once this pesky candle lights, am I right?
Yeah. We're doing a tag video today. How exciting! We've chosen the 20 questions tag. Not the most popular on BookTube, but a really good one. Did it work?
The candle is not lighting, so I think we're gonna have to. We might have to start some sparks with the intellectual vigor of our conversation.
We'll try.
Okay.
We'll try. Get some chemistry going. So yeah, 20 questions tag. Questions about books. Questions about reading. And we're gonna try to get through it as quickly as possible.
So by next year?
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to try to keep it to under 45 minutes.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready, Jackson?
I think so, yeah.
So I have the questions on my phone, as we are wont to do.
Sure.
I'll start with the first question. Contentious one. How many books is too many books in a series?
Well, it all depends on the series, I think.
Right.
I mean, for YA novels, I'm reminded of, I can't remember the name of the series now, but the writer was Lemony Snicket.
Oh, the series Unfortunate Events.
Of course. And do you remember how many books are in that series?
13?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think...
Unlucky number.
I think, yeah. I think given the vibe of the series, given the sort of youthful nature of it, and it's lighthearted, but it's more of a yarn than like something that needs to be wrapped up immediately and tightly.
Right.
So he can kind of pull you along for as long as he wants.
Yeah.
But 13's pushing it. But for most things like 3, I see no reason to go beyond 3 unless your thing is so good. You get into dangerous territory with finishing the thing. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm in total agreement. 3 is my number. I can think of some exceptions. I'm not a big series reader. I think you're either, some people are series readers, some people are not.
Mm-hmm.
I did love the Neapolitan series by Elena Ferrante.
Yeah. Although I would I would consider it as just like one big book.
Right. Right.
But it is still 4. Yeah.
And I was okay with the 4, but that's the only series I can recall reading in adulthood. That was maybe like more than 2 or 3 books. I have a soft spot for Narnia from when I was a child, but even then, no one likes all the books in Narnia. Everyone likes like 2 books in the Narnia series.
Yeah, and also previously, right before the camera started rolling, we were talking about Carl Ove Knausgaard, whose 6-book series is really good, but really also pushes the boundaries of why is it 6 books long? You could do some editing.
A lot of people would argue that even just one book in that series is too long, too many books.
Yeah. I'm unfortunately a fanboy, so I'm not in that club. But,
I understand.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's all about how good the author is, but
what about comic books?
60. Different. Comic books are more, depending if you're going by like the traditional style, it's kind of serialized, so it's less of a novelistic thing.
Okay.
I think there's a difference between the form of a novel and then like a magazine style.
Right. Fewer expectations about like narrative structure.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, what other? I feel like we could keep talking about publication formats for hours.
Let's keep it going. Number 2. How do you feel about cliffhangers?
I don't have a problem with them.
Okay.
It can be fun.
Yeah.
Also, everything's contextual. Depends on the execution. They can be cheap, but they can be thrilling.
That's the word I was going to use.
Yeah.
They can be cheap.
Yeah.
They can be lackluster.
I'm trying to think of like a good, like a typical, like a, that epitomizes like a cheap cliffhanger.
In books, I'm struggling. I think we experience a lot of cliffhangers in like TV series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think also like owing to a serialization format or to connect to the last question, like a series format, it makes for effective marketing almost.
Yeah, absolutely. But in that way, it can become cheap.
Yeah.
Right.
But the Neapolitan series has some cliffhangers, but
they're all about that.
They're all perfect. I'm not going to say anything.
So neutral. We feel neutral.
Yeah. It depends.
3, hardcover or paperback?
Paperback. Cheaper,
Same.
Less hard feelings if you destroy the book.
And you can carry it around. I like a book on the go.
Yeah. I'm not, I'm still in my 20s. I don't need like leather-bound books yet.
No.
I think there will come a time in my life when I'll have a stack of those, but not yet.
Interesting.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely soft cover for carrying purposes, for not feeling bad about
of course
damaging them. I don't like the feeling of a hardcover. I can't open it enough. It doesn't yield itself to me. right?
Sub question: how do you feel about a dust jacket?
I don't like them either.
I take them
and
off.
they're only on hardcovers. Great point. Number 4. Okay, so this question, I have a problem with it. And I was considering not even including it, but it's in the tag, so I think we have to ask it. But it's everyone's least favorite question, which is your favorite book.
That is my least favorite.
Who came up
question
with this? Who wrote this tag initially? That's a cursed question.
I'm trying to think of like a book that really moved me that I read in the past like year or something, which I usually do as like a compensation.
After you read something bad?
No. Instead of like, because I can never think of my favorite book of all time.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I think the way to approach this question is like, look, I think if you have one favorite book that's always at the top of your, it's always on the tip of your tongue that has been your answer for 20 years, maybe you're not reading enough. Or maybe you're not reading widely enough.
Oh, I was just about to say my favorite book is still Catcher in the Rye. Kidding.
Okay.
I've actually never read it.
Good job keeping in the laughter behind the scenes. You never read it?
I never have, yeah. And I probably would have loved it as an adolescent, but I think it probably is still worth a read. But I feel like there's a window of time to read that book when it has maximum efficacy on your brain.
Yes.
And I think, fortunately, I have grown past that stage.
Right. But exactly, people change, readers change, and as you change as a reader, your favorite books, I think, should change. But to begin to answer this question, because it is the inevitable question, I did bring some books.
Oh, yes. No, please.
Would I even call them my favorites? I don't know, but I do love them.
Maybe they're recent favorites, seeing as you chose to you select them and you brought them here. And
I mean,
you brought the dictionary. That's your favorite book?
The Bible. So what are some of my favorite books? Maybe it's like a genre or a type, of book type thing. So Pond by Claire Louise Bennett.
Nice.
Book Waterfall. Pond, which is a book I love that I wrote my master's thesis on. That is like weird and experimental and all happens in the mind of this one very solitary woman who lives in rural Ireland. And it's just about what she sees and thinks.
Wow.
How to Be Both by Ali Smith. Also a UK writer, also kind of weird and experimental. Has 2 narratives going on, one in contemporary England and one in the Renaissance in Italy. And then a little book, because I'm a fan of short books. Short books? Yeah, short books. Mm-hmm. Slim books. Also kind of experimental, kind of a prose poem type situation called Grief is the Thing with Feathers. Also British.
When was this one published?
In like the last 5 years, I won't say 5 years ago, around 6 years ago, about a father with 2 young boys, and his wife dies, and he's visited by the crow, the figure of the crow, who represents kind of death, inspired by the Ted Hughes poem. So maybe it's more of what kind of books are your favorite? Yeah.
It's a bit easier to answer. I feel like I have, not that I've embarked on this kind of quest in the past little while, but I really enjoy huge epic books that you have to put a lot of effort into finishing.
Okay.
Because to me it takes a while to finish them, and as a result I remember like those 2 months of my life very vividly.
Fair enough.
So I really remember like the first time I read The Brothers Karamazov, and it like ruined reading for me for like 3 months afterwards, because nothing was able to like get so deep and like that intense about all these deep like existential questions and stuff, and it just felt like I was taken on this journey, and I remember like that summer of my life very vividly. And the same as maybe my favorite books are all Russian, because my next favorite one, at least like reading experience, is probably War and Peace, because it's just something that you have to almost reluctantly, if you're getting into it, like force yourself to read and be like, I'm not hanging out with my friends for like another 2 hours. I need to sit and read about Napoleon invading Russia.
Right.
But I like books that make you learn about things that initially you might not have had an interest in.
Interesting.
So yeah.
That's really interesting.
Stuff like that, but if I could maybe I can find a book here that has been a rewarding read for me. Okay. Probably not my favorite by this writer, but Samuel Beckett. I have his Unnameable trilogy here, and this is actually, I brought a stack of unfinished books here.
Right.
So this is essentially 3 books in one. It's complete nonsense almost entirely. It's just about these characters and their insane ramblings inside their heads and their very strange behaviors. But I've taken to reading a lot of like plays recently as well. So the first time I read Waiting for Godot was like a very powerful experience to me because, yeah, Samuel Beckett has this. I'd always thought of him as like, he's like the top tier of writing. Everyone reveres his name. And then I read him and it's like fart jokes, strange like lyricism, things that don't make sense, and really funny. So
yeah,
funny books.
I think we read for experience.
Exactly.
Is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
All right. An easier question, perhaps. Least favorite book. Is that easier? I don't know.
Well, well, the problem now is that I don't bother to finish the books that I don't like.
Exactly. Also, I think we've reached an age or an experience in life where, I don't seek out books that I think I might hate. Right?
There's a time when you have that intellectual curiosity, and there's a time when you are also reading on the bus.
Yeah.
In the morning, and
yeah.
you like, yeah. Because I had my memory jogged before we turned on the camera, I did remember a least favorite book of mine that is at least popularly really enjoyed is The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami.
Right.
In my eyes, an overrated writer who values style over substance, and somebody off camera is currently shaking their head at me, but...
this is good. You're killing two birds with one... That's a horrible analogy. You're answering two questions at once. Two questions at once, so we can... Because I know... Well,
also the book is
we're getting carried
about
away
a bird.
Here. True.
3 birds with one.
I did think of a least favorite book. I'll just mention it quickly. It's a book I happened to be asked to teach last year in grade 9 English, and it was absolute trash. And it's called Where the Heart Is, which you
Sounds
wouldn't
great.
have heard of it. Yeah,
sounds
Where
like a
the
Bruce
Heart Is.
Springsteen song.
It's a bad Bruce Springsteen song in novel form. And
There's a place for that in the canon.
Is there a place for that in teaching? I don't know,
no,
though.
Probably not.
I did manage to get it off the curriculum this year.
Okay, nice.
Moving on. Number 6. Love triangles, yes or no? Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Love it. I love them in life and in
100%.
books. The most recent book you couldn't finish?
I'm still reading The Trial after like a month and a half. So, there you go.
Mine was the book called The Last Samurai by Helen DeWitt, which apparently... Have you heard of it?
Did they make a movie on it starring Tom Cruise?
No.
Okay.
That's the more famous Last Samurai. I actually picked up the book from the library because of BookTube and was sorely disappointed, and I couldn't get through it. And it made me feel stupid reading it.
It's like historical fiction about feudal Japan?
No.
What?
No.
At least... Yeah, like the movie with Tom Cruise is like obviously historically inaccurate. White guy plays the last samurai, but
the movie features in the book.
Weird.
8. A book
curious.
You're currently reading.
Let's see. Let me pick the 5 books that I'm currently reading. All right, we'll ignore that one. All right, this is a really cute little pocket-sized copy of Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion that my friend gave me, and it was the first Joan Didion I have received as a gift, but I went home last Christmas and I read in like 2 days because they were so good and I was so blown away by her. The Year of Magical Thinking and Blue Nights, unbelievably depressing books, but like fascinating and really interesting, but also like really profound. Yeah. And anyways, yeah, these books are, I love every single essay that I've read in this so far, and I just read nonfiction, yeah, and I just read her essay on self-respect in this. It's really good.
Cool.
What about you?
Mine is a French book, strangely enough.
Ah, quel intéressant.
Oui. I only read 2 French books. On peut parler en français, mais je pense pas que c'est approprié. So,
exactement.
I only read about 2 French books a year, and I happen to be reading one now. It's called En finir avec Eddie Bellegueule, and it's kind of autofiction, and it's pretty good. Rough, but good. Makes me happy I didn't grow up in like a working class town in northern France. The last book you recommended to someone?
The last book I recommended to someone was probably what's it called? What Belongs to You by Garth Greenwell. And I would say a 10 out of 10. It's probably about 190 pages. It's about an American gay man who's living in Bulgaria working as a teacher and who meets a local man there, and they like have this tumultuous but very intense relationship, but it's just all about their interactions, but it's so good. It's like perfect. So
I heard him on a podcast.
I recently recommended it, but I'm currently recommending it. So
awesome. Mine is a Zadie Smith novel called On Beauty,
Okay.
which is pretty good. It was very plotty, and I don't often read very plotty books, but I had a thoroughly good time reading that. Oldest book you've read by publication date? Gilgamesh? The Epic of Gilgamesh?
That is the oldest book.
Or is it the Bible? Is it the Dead Sea Scrolls?
I have not finished the Bible, capital T, capital B.
I have not finished the Bible.
I've read the first 3 Gospels, so I'll
No one's
say
on
those books within the Gospels are the oldest I've read. But as an English lit
The
major,
Book of Daniel.
never read Beowulf or anything like that.
You haven't read Beowulf?
No. Why would I read Beowulf?
Shame. Newest book you've read by publication date?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Maybe a Maggie Smith. I don't know when Bluettes came out, but pretty recently. I would like to read On Freedom, her most recent book. But
Maggie
yeah.
Nelson.
What did I say? Maggie Smith?
The actress?
Oh.
Who's also iconic.
Who's Maggie Smith again?
She's Professor McGonagall.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, secretly a huge fan of whatever she's putting out these days. But
I think she's a ghostwriter for someone.
Okay, yeah.
She's got to be. Favorite author? Horrible question. Cursed question
favorite
as well.
Author
favorite author.
in general. How do you even answer that?
I don't know. I think you just pick one of many. Mine would be Anne Carson, author, poet, scholar, lady that I love.
Tolstoy.
Buying books or borrowing books?
Both.
Both. I mean, if you're a good person, it would be borrowing books.
Borrowing books is great because then you can have little like chats with your friends when you're catching them and they're kind of like, yeah, you can bring it by, but I'm leaving in 5 minutes, and you kind of like you're in the corridor and it's kind of like, it was so good, and a little plot thing, and then they leave and you're like,
and you get to read their
perfect
annotations
Wayland
if they annotate, which is
exactly
so intimate.
And
also from the library. But you know what? Who are we kidding? We buy a lot of books.
I just
too.
buy books. Yeah.
A book you dislike that everyone else seems to love. You mentioned.
I already mentioned mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, it would probably be the Sally Rooney books. I'm not a Sally Rooney stan.
What is it about those books that you don't like? Because I haven't actually read any Sally Rooney, but as far as
don't get me
as
started,
an outsider,
Jackson. We're already
like,
over time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I don't think she's the voice of our generation.
All right.
I'll go ahead and say it. Bookmarks or dog ears?
Both.
It was dog ears for a long time, and then I felt once I started not collecting bookmarks, but once I stopped losing them and recycling them and throwing them out, and I started just keeping them on a shelf on my bookshelf and using them, I felt like I had graduated, like it was a new step in life.
It's very mature.
A book you can always reread.
I don't really reread books.
Rereader?
No. The last book I reread was one of my favorites because I read it once when I was 14. The Plague by Albert Camus, and it was like the first sort of serious literary book that really I was like, this is life, man. Like this is intense. And then I reread it during the plague during COVID. And
I think as many people did.
I thought it was unbelievably boring.
Love in the time of COVID.
I'm kind of like, I don't need to reread books. I'll reread them once and.
Sorry, it's Corona. That's the joke.
Corona, yeah. I don't know. What about you?
Since it's in my hand, this one, Glass and God. It's not. I'm cheating because this is a collection of poetry and like prose poetry. But the opening long poem called The Glass Essay, rocked my world when I first read it when I was 17, and I must have read it 5 or 6 times by now.
Ooh, that actually does remind me. I've reread several times by Clarice Lispector, her book Agua Viva.
I really want to read her.
It's incredible. Yeah.
A lot of booktubers are very into Lispector.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay, we're getting there. Can you read while hearing music? Hearing music? Listening to music?
Hearing music.
Hearing music.
With lyrics, no.
In your
Without,
surroundings.
yeah.
Same. With lyrics, no. Without, yeah. One POV or multiple POVs?
Both.
Same. I think it's similar to cliffhangers. If it's done well, I can get behind it.
Yeah.
If it's not, it's annoying. Last question. It's question 19, but for our purposes, it's going to be the last question. Do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days?
Depends on the book.
Depends on the book.
I read War and Peace in one day, so yeah.
Depends on the book and depends on your life, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe your age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Question 20 is who do you tag? And you know, we have a lot of friends here on BookTube, so I'm going to go ahead and just tag everyone who wants to do this video. Feel free.
Me too. Yeah. Tag your friends, tag your family,
Tag your mom, tag your dad.
your loved ones.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching our 20 questions tag. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and answer the 20 questions in the comments. Bye.